Okay, since Nigerians heard of the vaccine coming in, there have been several misconceptions around the vaccine. Can you throw more light on
Well,
those?
we want to look at what would drive better acceptance. You always have misconceptions. Last year, when we had to deal with the COVID-19 issue, there were a lot of issues bordering on whether it was real or not. But I think that's over and done with now. You're getting more acceptance now. People now know that COVID-19 is not a hoax. It's something that we have to come to terms with. Looking at the vaccination, I want to speak more in terms of the vaccine being something that is needed, to help us contain the outbreak. The vaccine that we have received into the country that we also took delivery of on Wednesday, the 10th, at about 8:30 p.m. The AstraZeneca brand, Edo State received 81,080 doses. Preliminary information at our disposal shows that they are safe and effective, and our target now is to see how we can work in line with the national directive in terms of the phased distribution or administration of this vaccine, which it's commencing, like you have earlier mentioned, tomorrow, to ensure that as quickly as possible, based on the support we're going to get from the federal government, that we get at least 70 to 80% of our population vaccinated. So we want to drive acceptance. In the past few days, we have been carrying out a lot of risk communication engagement, a lot of jingles, and a lot of grassroots mobilization, because that's critical. Just like you said, there's a lot of misconceptions. So we're getting to the people, making them understand that this is necessary. Vaccination is necessary to help our people, acquire herd immunity. And once you get herd immunity in terms of at least 70 to 80% of our population vaccinated, then we can break the chain of transmission. Okay. But it's also important to note that vaccination is not just all about vaccination. There are other necessary steps that we must walk in tandem with, especially in relation to uptake of the non-pharmaceutical interventions like the hand washing, the wearing of face masks, observing physical distances. Yeah. These are very key aspects in terms of breaking the chain of transmission, which we must also emphasize.
Okay, now, who gets vaccine from tomorrow?
Yes.
And people in isolation centers, patients already in isolation centers, would they be given a shot?
Well, you know the phases. Now, what we're doing presently is that we're starting with the frontline healthcare workers, and this is phase one. It's not for the general populace, but this is also very important because we're trying to drive acceptance. The people who provide care, the political leaders and the religious leaders who we have termed as strategic leaders, people seeing them take vaccination will build acceptance, and that is very, very critical. People want to see the governors, want to see other persons in government, the religious leaders, us, the frontline health workers, take this vaccination. And so those are the kind of people we're going to see now in the first phase. We're also going to see non-healthcare frontliners, the security agencies. They are also represented. They would be seen taking vaccination from tomorrow. And we are working around the corner to make sure that if we have extra vaccines, we could start up with some persons, maybe in our treatment facilities, who have comorbidities. But working with the national directive in terms of phase one is critical for the healthcare workers, strategic leaders, and non-healthcare frontliners like these security agencies to start them with the vaccination first. Okay. Then moving forward, we'll get to every other person.
But I understand that for tomorrow, it's just the first dose. What's the difference between the first and second dose of the vaccine?
For the AstraZeneca brand, you need 2 doses to build sufficient immunity. Okay, immunity has to do with your body's response to the vaccination. So we have been assured by the federal government through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency that the state is going to take additional delivery of another 81,000 plus doses in the next 7 to 10 weeks. And this is very important. So what you're going to see tomorrow is that we are initiating a process, and we're going to be on for another 10 days, okay, to ensure that all frontline healthcare workers, strategic leaders, and security agencies personnel are vaccinated. Then in the next 7 to 12 weeks, when we get delivery of another batch of vaccines, we'll ensure that they get another dose, and that will ensure that they have their complete dosage. But as a state, we are also working around the clock to make sure that we strategize in such a manner that the doses that we are getting will work around it in a way to ensure that even before we get the next consignment from the federal government, whatever is left, we'll use that to initiate a second phase of the vaccination process.
Okay, now you take the first dose, you take the second dose. How long will the immunity last?
Now that is the big question, which it's a global issue. Nobody knows how long the immunity that we're going to get from vaccination, especially with regards to COVID-19, would last. And that's why in the course of this engagement, I said earlier on that we must also observe the other non-pharmacological intervention. That is very, very important. But looking at history, looking at other jabs, flu jabs that you have globally, it may be something that we may need to take annually. Okay, and the implication of that is that following vaccination, the immunity could wane. But we are still looking into research. A lot of research is still being carried out to know if and as at what time we are going to have possibly another shot of that, or if there's need for us to have what we call booster shots. These are things that research is actually looking into. So nobody can say with all certainty that when you take the 2 shots, if it's for the AstraZeneca brand, there are other brands that you could just take 1 shot, whether it's going to be something that you may not need to take again. So we're working around the clock to ensure that whatever information we get in terms of the duration of immunity is also provided to the public domain.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Andrew B., Incident Manager, COVID-19, Edo State. Thank you for your time on Panorama.
It's a pleasure being here today.
All right. We'll take a break now. Panorama continues shortly. Do stay with us.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
The Council of our Fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thank you for staying on. Director General, World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, is in Nigeria to meet with government and the business community on issues aimed at benefiting Nigeria in the African Continental Free Trade Agreement market. Benny Adams reports.
Resumption of duty as World Trade Organization Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala hit the ground running with trade negotiations bordering on cutting fisheries subsidies and reforms at the WTO.
We have a lot of work to do. So I feel ready to go.
Today, she arrives in Nigeria with same commitment to fostering trade in an era of global economic recovery.
And to do that, of course, we have to improve investments. We have to add value to some of our products. We have this Continental Free Trade Agreement is a unique opportunity for us to be able to engage commercially with the other nations in Africa, and that will boost our exports. And then when you boost exports, you create more jobs. We're also going to talk about the digital economy.
We have received a lot of support from many countries, so we appreciate them. And her visit is specifically to start from home. Charity begins at home. She says thank you to Mr. President, thank you to Nigerians that
To actualize her plans, the WTO Director General will be meeting with government, the business community, and other stakeholders for strategic planning. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Update: Samuel Johnson is our guide.
Prominent personalities in Nigeria's sports family have described as heartwarming and forward-looking the election of NFF's president, Maju Pinnick, into FIFA's council. Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare, led other stakeholders to congratulate him and charge him to be good ambassador of Nigeria.
This is good news to Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but to Africa as a whole. We look forward to good things to come.
Being in the FIFA council is a huge plus for him. They are the decision makers.
In a related development, newly elected chairman of Ondo State Football Association, Dele Ajayi, has promised to transform football activities in the state.
by this election we are integrated.
And here we'll call it a wrap on Panorama. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
There was this broadcast on Villa Updates, which I'm part of, and I got the information there that we should apply for survival fund.
I thought it was a scam, but truly it wasn't a scam.
To my great surprise, we actually got a lot of 30,000. I have 5 staff, including the vacancies. we got a lot of 30,000. Like 3 weeks later, this is the first time I'm getting anything from this government. Even from past governments, I have never gotten anything from them.
It was a great relief for us because during the COVID-19, things were so tough.
I really thank the government for this great gesture because it has helped a lot.